What's happening, Soul Fam? It's Tarot Tuesday. You already know what time it is. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share, and let me know in the comments below how this was vibing out for you. Thank you for following us on Instagram, TikTok, and supporting us on Patreon. Your help is absolutely amazing. So let's go ahead and dive into it without any further delay, okay? This is going to be more so of a quicker reading just because there's not too much going on, but there's a lot of duality. So when I say duality, you got options, positive or negative. If you don't take the positive action, you're going to get left with the negative, okay? So let's go ahead and look at these two middle cards right here. We have the Five of Wands that shows up, okay? And the Five of Wands is pretty much reminding us right now that things might seem a little bit more difficult or a little bit more tough than normal. We might be going over certain hurdles. We did just get into Mercury retrograde, so depending on whether or not you dealt with the things you need to deal with or not is how Mercury retrograde is hitting you. So if you still have a lot of shadow work that you need to go through, Mercury retrograde is going to hit you like a train. You're going to feel fatigued, lethargic. Things are just not panning out very well. If you're one of the people that ended up doing your work before Mercury retrograde came through, you're going through changes, but they're changes that are positive. And that's where we have the Six of Cups come up in this card reading as well, which is pretty much telling us, hey, if you've done the work, then you have nothing to worry about. Everything's going to pan out to your favor. You know where you're at because you know what you're feeling, right? So if you're feeling really drained, really hectic, really scared, you have shadow work to dive into. If you have been doing your work and you feel great and you feel motivated and you're ready to conquer things, then you've done your work. You just have to continue to transform into the version of you that is coming up. Remember, this year is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about love. You need to be finding what gives you love, what gives you passion, what makes you succeed at what you do. And it's also ruled by the totem animal, the tiger, which is reminding you to be versatile, resourceful, quick-witted, and kind. Right now it's all about balancing. We're almost through the balancing phase. In just a little bit, we're going to switch over to taking action. So this is the moment right now. You got about 1 or 2 months left to really balance anything that's kind of loose end in this current moment. So we're going to start over with Jupiter. Jupiter has to do with finances, okay? So Jupiter tells us the Knight of Coins, which is basically saying take an opportunity to restructure your life. Right now is the opportunity for you to ask yourself, how do I really want to be living my life? And start going after living those things. You should have been doing it already, going after those things. But if you've been like, okay, well, I don't want to wake up every day at 6 a.m. to show up at my job, how can you alter that so that you don't wake up at 6 a.m. every day? Whatever you can move to make yourself feel more luxurious is the energy that you need to be putting up right now so you can be successful. The other thing about that same kind of energy is the fact that we have this vibration of the Three of Swords, which the Three of Swords is pretty much reminding us at this time that there's a little bit of wound energy that needs to be kind of dealt with or reclaimed, right? So maybe a past wound has resurfaced to kind of find healing. Remember, you can change your karma if you change the way you've always done things. So if someone's shown up in your from your past that's harmed you, you might want to think about not being rude if you've always been rude, right? It's one of those energies here. Now remember, there's 2 cards that are playing out for each person. These bigger cards are for the people who are not really fully in alignment with Mercury retrograde, and the smaller cards are for the people who are in alignment with Mercury retrograde. And I'm trying to get the best lighting here. It's not really working out today, so I really apologize. So when we come to what's happening here in Jupiter, what can we do in Uranus to change, okay? Well, first of all, you're going to need strength. This goes all across the board for everyone. You're going to need strength for developing yourself into who you want to be or doing the shadow work to get to the next level. Strength is going to be the main thing that you need to develop. That's, strength of character, strength of willpower, whatever it is that you need your strength in. That's what's going to determine the energy of the High Priestess, which is whether or not you fall deeper into your shadow or you are successful. So with this reading right here, it's saying that some of you are in the middle of this option right here, and you still haven't made a choice or an action to be on the positive or the negative side of reality. just remember, if you end up on the negative side of reality, there's going to be a lot of inner work, heart healing that has to be done. If you're on the positive side, then you have more so just had to develop that strength of character. Coming over to Venus, which controls this entire year, we have the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is reminding us to give what we have freely and be like generous with our energy as well. Okay, so if you feel like there's a certain path that you need to be walking towards, maybe you want to create free content for a certain group of people, start doing that. Just see what happens as you do that. Don't be afraid of what's going to come as a byproduct if you're helping people for that kind of project for free, right? Allow yourself to be really open. We also have the energy of the Seven of Swords, which is basically saying like you complicate things based off of your perception of reality. So if you start telling yourself, you know, then my next steps are going to be easy, my next shift is going to be super easy. If you start changing the narrative of difficulty into ease, reality has to start manifesting that way for you. One of the best ways that I teach this technique is with money. A lot of times people are like, oh, it's so hard to save, it's so hard to make money, it's so hard to get a raise, right? How about we stop saying that? How about we change the narrative and we say, it's so easy to make money, it's so easy to save, it's so easy to get a raise, right? And the moment you start changing that narrative and you start working with a new narrative and you stick to it, because it's not just saying it once, you have to actually have the strength, remember, to change the balance of the scales to not make reality so much difficult for you. You have to allow yourself to love yourself, to change the narrative, okay? So you can be even more gracious with yourself. The energy of Venus showing up with the Queen of Cups is basically telling you that Venus wants to give you love. Venus or Aphrodite wants to see you succeed, but she's not going to make it easy for you if you're not willing to do the work for yourself. A lot of this has to do with changing your perception on reality and the stories you've told yourself. Coming over to Saturn, Saturn has to do with our shadow, so it's going to be filling in a little bit more of this story here, and it also has to do with things that need to be destroyed. If you're on the more positive end of the energy, we have the Seven of Pentacles coming out, which is saying when it comes to shadow work, if you're on this end right here, don't worry about it. Like, you know, you're coasting, you're in a really nice relaxed place. Just focus on being generous, focus on your strength, and focus on the fact that you need to create more things that give you inspiration towards luxury and love. Like you're creating a lifestyle that you love. It's pretty much what that's saying if you're on the positive end of things. If you're on the negative end of things, we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is saying the main thing you need to be focusing on is the solution, like the good vibes. So you need to be really visualizing right now, if you're on the negative end of the Mercury retrograde, how your life is going to play out. What's the next steps that you're going to do? Where are you going to go? What's the vibration that you're going to be really existing in? That's what's going to help you overcome the blockages of the shadow. So it's a lot of visualization of who you want to manifest. And again, that does take strength, because you're going to have to keep focusing on that until it turns over and becomes a hard physical reality for you. So then here we have the energy of Mercury. Mercury has to do with travel, communication. Mercury is in retrograde. This is the energy that's going to be controlling all of this right now happening for us. We have the Nine of Pentacles that comes out again. So here the Nine of Pentacles also shows up for the people that are on the good vibration of Mercury retrograde, and it's basically telling you, hey, enjoy the ride. As long as you stay on the happy vibe, as long as you stay in love with your life, everything else is going to pan out exactly as it needs to, right? So stay focused on this. Remember, people on the positive end are already walking that path. People on the negative end are still trying to find what's keeping them blocked from stepping into their next evolutionary state, okay? So if you're in the middle, pay attention to like both sides and you'll get your answer as well. If you're on the negative aspect of Mercury retrograde, we have Four of Swords, which is basically telling you to relax. A lot of your worries are self-imposed. You can be focusing so much on like, oh, how horrible life is, or you can be really focused on the fact of how amazing life is. No matter what, the end result is going to be a matter of your own perception. The more you focus on struggle, the more difficult it is going to be, right? So you need to really start asking yourself, what am I creating in my life? What am I holding on to that's resistant, that's full of struggle right now, right? And let me let go of that energy. I don't need that energy anymore. I don't need to bring that energy forward. I'm going to let go and trust the universe. A lot of the Four of Swords energy, especially for the people on the negative aspect of it, is about trusting the universe. Trust yourself that you've done everything that you needed to do to get to the next level, and that the universe is going to present you with the opportunities to move forward. All you have to do is take action when those opportunities become available. It's about trust. Right now you're in a relationship with yourself. You're in a relationship with the universe because you are the universe. You have to allow yourself to be fully aware of this energy and work with it. Don't make it your enemy, okay? Coming over to the energy of Earth. Earth, it comes up with the Emperor for all the homies over here on the positive end. The Emperor is basically reminding you, be like Aries, go after what you want. Right now is the moment. If you got the energy to do it, right now is the time to do it. Do all the research, do all the video recording, do all the helping of other people, do all the stuff that needs to be done right now if you're feeling the higher vibrational energy of Mercury, because Mercury is travel, movement, business, all of that, right? So if you got that energy, you don't want to waste it right now. Be an emperor and claim your reality. Be hard-headed like the goat and take nothing less but your victory, okay? If you're on a negative aspect of Mercury retrograde, we have the Queen of Pentacles that shows up. And the Queen of Pentacles is telling you, hey, know that the only energy that you're going to be creating right now is peace, serenity, and transformation. If you can hyper fixate on those three things, everything's going to work out for you. If you're hanging out with somebody who you hang out with every Friday and all of a sudden you realize, you know what, every time I hang out with this person I leave more anxious than peaceful, how about you stop hanging out with that person, right? If you notice that every time you smoke weed, like you're getting more anxious or you're losing your serenity, how about you stop smoking weed? If you notice that you're starting to get fat because you have been eating sweets nonstop and you don't like your size, how about you stop doing something that brings you negativity, something that brings you a negative self-impulse, right? You need to love yourself more than the chaos that's happening in reality. It's very easy to shift chaos when you prioritize yourself. That's the main thing that we're looking at here. Neptune has to do with the higher vibrations of Venus. So Neptune, with all the homies on the positive end, it has the 8 of Wands, which is saying that there's a huge transformational energy that's coming your way. It's very huge. You're already in the transformational wave. It's like a tsunami, but it's going to keep up picking speed. It's going to keep up on its speed, and it's going to keep up on its intensity. So you have to keep moving with that wave, otherwise it's going to drown you. When it comes to all my homies on the negative end, the 10 of Pentacles shows up. And the 10 of Pentacles is really mostly about reminding you about the good things in life. Like, again, the message for all of you guys on the negative end is focus on the good. Some part of you has focused on the negative for far too long. Like, life's been too difficult, the state of the world is fucked, you know, economy is crazy, like family problems. You've been focusing on all the wrong things that are creating a reality that you don't want to exist in. That's the main thing that you really, really have to allow yourself to be open to. You need to also be willing to work with, because this is the energy that's most important for you, okay? When we come over to Mars, Mars has to do with transformation, moving, taking action. So for all the homies that are on the positive end, we have the Hangman, which is basically saying, hey, you know, a change of perspective is necessary. So you already are on that change of perspective, but you need to keep keeping yourself accountable during this time as you shift, because if you don't, you're going to fall off the train. And then for all my negative homies, you have the Judgment card, which comes up, which is basically saying, like, the choice is up to you. You already know what you need to do. You already know what needs to be accomplished. And if you allow yourself to make the shift, you know what's going to come out of it. If you don't do the shift, you now know what's going to come out of it. Finally, we have the energy of the Queen of Swords, and we have the Page of Pentacles underneath as well. The Page of Pentacles is telling us that we are in this state of learning how to manifest. And the Queen of Swords is saying that we are also in a state of claiming our rights in terms of reality. So like, I am abundant, I am prosperous, I'm happy, I can create whatever it is that I seek to create in my reality. Final reading coming up. In the Jupiter sector, we have Sailor Galaxia, which Sailor Galaxia is reminding us not to be too greedy, not to be overzealous with power. As we build ourselves and create a new version of ourselves, it's sometimes very easy for us to get caught up in the illusion of that new person. We also have the energy of the Demos Castle, which is the castle of Mars, which is basically saying don't be too prudent when it comes to the changes. Understand that changes are necessary, but you don't want to do too many changes all at once. When it comes to Mars, we have the Dark Senshi, which is basically the dark aspects of love. Part of it is us recognizing, hey, like there's things about myself that I didn't know that I loved or that I want to keep feeding into, right? Like for me, it's been a lot of like black magic lately. I know a lot about black magic. I've never really practiced it too extensively just because, I've always had my own apprehensions, but I really love it. So I'm going to be willing to love that darker aspect of myself so I can bring that forward into the future. We have the energy of Mistress 9 that comes up with Saturn. And Mistress 9 is about 9 evolution, but also recognizing that there's an old version of ourselves that isn't the true self. And that when we become aware of that old version of ourselves that isn't the true version of us, it's easier for us to let it go instead of trying to convince ourselves that like we are that person, right? And we cling on to that version of ourselves. We have the Sailor Guardian, Sailor Moon coming up at Mercury, basically saying use a love to guide you forward. We have the castle of Neptune that shows up as well, showing up at Earth, which is basically telling us use spiritual love. And when we look at the castle of Neptune and we look at the Neptune energy, we see here focus on positivity. There's a huge wave of energy coming. Stay on that path. Focus on the highest aspects of your reality. When we look at Neptune, we have the energy of the Venus cat, which is basically telling you, choose to be logical and practical about what it is that's presenting itself to you. Don't overcomplicate it. Sometimes options seem overcomplicated because we are involving our egos and our emotions into the equation, so do not allow yourself to get in that vibration. We have the Tokyo Tower showing up at Mars, which is basically saying, let's see things from a higher perspective. Finally, we come in with Sailor Healer for all the homies on the dark aspect of Mercury retrograde. It's about you healing something by not giving it power of like, oh yeah, you've been traumatized, but more so like, how can we find a solution to bring out the answers in our reality? We also have the energy of Sailor Venus for all the homies that are on the positive aspect of the Mercury retrograde, coming back to that Venus energy up top, being generous, making sure that we don't overcomplicate things and that we choose love over all the darker aspects of ourselves as we grow deeper into our collective consciousness. So if this was helpful, let me know in the comments below. Does this resonate? Have you been aware of these things on your own? Don't forget, if you're looking to become an ascension coach, you want to build a spiritual business, or you want to just heal yourself and activate all your psychic abilities, join our mystery school where we'll teach you everything you need to know. Links are going to be in the description below. And don't forget to support us on Patreon. Thank you so much if you are already. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok so that you don't miss a beat. I'm sending you all the love, and I'll catch you later.